Well, hey out there, it's Dave Duford here at Duford Insurance Group. Hope you guys are having a fantastic day. Welcome to my live Q&A this October, what is it, 27th, 2021. Happy early, what's a holiday? Halloween, that's right, Halloween. Happy Halloween. I hope you get all the candy that you dreamed for. Thank you so much for being here. The reason I put these Q&A calls on is to have some actual live interaction with my wonderful audience. Thank you so much for watching and subscribing. I appreciate you guys so much and your time here. I want to give back and give you guys the opportunity to ask yours truly any questions that you have about anything related to selling any kind of insurance and related to any kind of marketing. I'd like to help out as, spoon. I like to help out if it isn't obvious to you, and like to answer questions, especially those who are looking to get into this wonderful business and are a little confused at how much Kool-Aid is doled out in buckets and barrels and want some of the truth. So really a lot of this live training is designed to helping you guys who are newer get some clarity, to seek some understanding, and to give you some advice on really how this business of selling insurance really works. So thanks so much for being here. So here's what to expect on today's little training. First, I'm going to start off with a little rant about captive agents, captive agencies really, not so much the agents, and some back and forth, almost kind of like a quasi comment from the haters. I thought I'd kind of expand on that. And then after that, I'm going to get into your questions. So if you all have questions, then what I'd like you to do is post them in the chat. If you've not been to one of these Q&As before, it's pretty simple. I go through top to bottom and answer everybody's questions forever, as long as it takes. Typically, these types of streams run an hour to an hour and a half, depending on the engagement and the questions that you guys have. So I absolutely recommend that you place your questions in the chat, and I shall get to them momentarily. So let's start with the first little thing I wanted to talk about. So some of you guys know I do videos. I review other competitors of mine. The reason being is because, not that I have anything personal against my competitors, I don't at all. But I kind of come into this business with the element of transparency. I like for you to know more than not to know more, otherwise known as know less. Because many agents, if you are new, if you haven't experienced this already, get into the business under false pretenses. They're told that like $1 million is waiting around the corner. They're bedazzled by Rolexes and Ferraris. And it's almost like a magician's sleight of hand. And they just don't know really the truth behind the business. And they're usually, in many cases, led into a bad insurance sales opportunity, which leads to more people than not necessarily failing this business, which is absolutely wonderful with the right setup. So part of my mission, I guess you could say, is to give as much information as I can to you guys, so that you all have enough knowledge and education to make a good decision on how to run an insurance sales business and who to associate with. Whether or not it's me or somebody else doesn't matter. You just need to make sure you give yourself the best chances of success, because it's your business after all, right? So I did a review lately. I won't mention the company's name. I'll just say they're a low commission payout carrier. They don't pay a lot of commission. They're a one product company. And what you'll find with a lot of these companies is they kind of push this cult-like mentality about how their product is the greatest. They're the biggest financial planning firm in the world. They help all sorts of people. Therefore, they're infallible. You can't question them, because even if you make 25% commission, how dare you question our practices, right? So that's kind of the mentality that this cult-like atmosphere cultivates, which of course is just unrational and unreasonable and leads a lot of people astray. So I put this video out there and I kind of talked about kind of generic things, right? You know, so not necessarily specific about the company, but more specific about the nature of how the company operates, or questions that agents should ask. For example, so stuff that you and I wouldn't give much thought to. For example, you know, ask how commissions work. Do you have to recruit a bunch of people to advance your commission levels, or can you merely do that through personal production? Ask about vesting. If you don't know what vesting is, new agents, that means do you own the book of business? And if not, how long does it take? Because a lot of agencies make you wait a number of years before full ownership, and there's others like mine that fully vest you from the first day. And that's important because that determines who gets paid off of that business you wrote, and what if you don't work for them anymore? Well, you lose that if you're not vested. So my point is, the whole purpose of this video was to give some perspective, some questions to ask. And what I have found, and my recommendation to you out there who are looking for an agency to join is get knowledgeable, understand what questions to ask. My videos help a lot with that. And then ask the potential candidate that's trying to recruit you these questions and examine how they respond to you when you ask those questions. If they start to squirm, if they start to lash out at you, then chances are that agency is not a good fit. I welcome questions from all of my audience, even the ones that seemingly are controversial, okay, about selling insurance. Why? Because, well, you are an independent person. You're sacrificing your career to get into this business. You could be doing something else, right? You're taking a risk. You deserve full transparency, and you deserve to have all the information that you can. And many times looking at these organizations, a common question I get is XYZ company an MLM? Is ABC company a pyramid scheme? And many times it's just look at how they respond and what they do, and you'll get that answer pretty clearly. A lot of these companies, I wouldn't say are illegal pyramid schemes, but they operate in the MLM mentality. It's the culture of MLM, the flash, the materialism over the top, that really is a signifier if they're that kind of, that kind of carry that cult culture. So anyways, I got attacked on this video that I made. I was told I was stupid, I was a simpleton for coming up with these critiques. Not even really fairly critiques, is a fair video. But asking you guys out there to ask questions to make sure that you're making the best fit. And I have long since given up the desire to debate or prove myself right to these people. It's kind of like politics. I don't know how you are with politics, but I don't even try to get into politics with anybody anymore because it's fruitless. I don't know how many people have converted somebody on Facebook politically to their side. I don't think it's ever happened, but we're all kind of shocked and amazed when it doesn't, when we really shouldn't be. So kind of take that same angle when it comes to, giving you information. I don't force the ideas on anybody, but I do want you to be exposed to these ideas and concepts, and you make your own mind up. For example, if somebody wanted to join said MLM structured company, so be it. At least they had full breadth of knowledge to make that decision. One of the critiques I got too from this particular person or two on this video is, I think it's, and I'm paraphrasing here, I didn't say it exactly, but in a sense, I said it's kind of ridiculous this dude who is on this, this channel is not bringing on a representative, a higher up from the company to kind of give their assessment. And I kind of thought about that, and I thought, well, that's like asking, the Jim Jones cult, some higher rep to come in and explain why their cult's not a cult, right? It is what it is. It's something that you need to know, and you don't need to bring in somebody from the top to explain away or spin away why it isn't what it appears to be. It doesn't take some sort of scientific analysis, or it doesn't take somebody from the top echelons to verify if said company is what it is or it isn't. It's simple observation with a basic understanding of the facts and how agencies are run and what the variables are and whether they have those variables in place, not like vesting or not, or low commissions or not, or the traps of being in a one-trick pony company with one product or not. You don't need to have some sort of expert analysis from the accused, the company, to defend themselves. It is what it is. And so you can't fall into this trap of, well, you didn't ever work for them, so, your opinion's invalid. So all of this is to say, guys, is that at the end of the day, bottom line, trust your instincts. do your due diligence, okay? Yes, I recruit agents, but I happily take any sort of questions from people. I do weekly Q&As, I answer my emails, I put out these videos, because this business is in severe lack of transparency. And there's a lot of really good opportunity across the board in all niches in insurance. But there's really, the organizations and how they're run are just run in such a way that turn off so many people and cause so many people to quit prematurely, when had they had proper training, coaching, access to sales and marketing systems, they surely would have had a better chance. And so, never feel bad about asking questions, because there's nothing wrong with asking. And again, last thing I'll say here, don't go to the questions in the chat. Make sure you examine how they respond to those questions. It's probably the most important thing. The second most important thing I would ask guys, anytime you're looking at lead vendors, anytime you're looking at agencies to join, always ask for 3 references. Ask for 3 people who are satisfied or who are successful in the system. For example, I had a gentleman approach me on Instagram the other day. He wanted to help promote my channel, my Instagram channel, to the masses to try to generate insurance leads. It sounded good. I said, hey, I like what you got. You sound like a great pitchman, but give me 3 references and I'll check it out. And if I like it, I'll do business with you. And he had some rebuttal, like, well, it's private information. We don't share that stuff. And I was like, okay, fine. We won't do business. I like it. I'll do business if I can see some references. And of course, he didn't give them to me, so I didn't buy from him. So, if you can't provide 3 people who are happy for you, if your agency you're looking at can't give you 3 people that you can talk to or have some kind of exchange with via email or the phone, chances are they're hiding something from you. They're scared of providing information. And that's always the tip of the massive iceberg that said organization isn't really all it's chalked up to be. So there you go. Okay, let's continue with questions here. Thanks guys so much for being here. And again, if you like this content, give it a thumbs up. That helps YouTube's algorithm show this video to agents who absolutely need to see this content. If you like what I just said, lots of agents need to hear it. It helps get me and expand my content out so others can see it as well. So please make sure you do that. And by the way, I do work at home. I have 4 kids. The little one's in a bit of a screaming mode, so it's not like they're off their chain and running around. Well, they're actually kind of off the chain, but you get it. You guys understand. Okay, let's go. All right, so William, we'll start with your question. Hey, Jody, how you doing? Hello, in regards to telesales, can someone make a good income just doing telesales? Absolutely, yeah. So in my agency, the way at least I do it, you either can choose a path of telesales versus face-to-face. It's your decision. There are pros and cons to both. Generally speaking, what I recommend is that if you do telesales, you're 100% vested in, when I say vested, invested in the process of doing telesales. You're not like doing telesales, but then on other days doing face-to-face. Likewise, if you want to do face-to-face, you're all in on face-to-face. You need to be all in. One of the risks that we have now that we didn't have 5 years ago in the final expense business is there are more options. And it's a funny thing. You think more options are better, and sometimes they are. However, what I have noticed sometimes people come in is they don't know quite where to be. Is it face-to-face or is it telesales? They understand the importance of focusing on one or the other, but one of the things you now have to deal with as an agent that I never had to is that if things start getting tough in telesales or if things start getting tough in face-to-face, you may be tempted, instead of diagnosing the problem with your particular strategy and how to fix it within that confine, to then pivot over to another one, trying to run from the problem and not fixing it. And what happens if you kind of bounce back and forth like a ping pong ball, not really geared into one particular strategy, like they say when we get married, for good or for ill, then what you're going to find is you're never going to really fully develop. And when there's options now, that is always a risk. So that's why I really advise, man, whatever you're sold on, be completely invested in and go 100% in. Now, if you're on the fence, I generally recommend agents who, they don't know if they want to do telesales or face-to-face to skew face-to-face. My personal opinion, I've seen it industry-wide, is the success rate for telesales is lower than face-to-face. It takes a particular type of skill set. It takes more leads. You'll experience more rejection. It can be very lucrative. I have very good telesales agents in my agency, so I know it works. But again, what I'm trying to provide you is a sober reality. So make sure if you're going to do telesales or face-to-face, again, you're totally sold on it, because you need to have that kind of laser-like focus and commitment, like anything in life that you want to be successful and good at. Please speak slowly and clearly. Thanks. Hope I am. Now, you may want to go, if you go onto the, MJ, if you go onto the gear button on your video, there should be a playback speed, and then you can slow it down to like 0.5, where I speak like this, instead of me talking all the time like this really fast. So try it out. If it works for you, report back. Patrick, planned on opening an LLC. Do I need E&O on my own? Yeah, most carriers require errors and omissions. eoforless.com is good. If you're just a life and health agent, the one that's $460 a month is what I recommend to my agents. It's enough to satisfy the carrier's limits and requirements. You can also break that up into payments with them. But any E&O provider, I don't have a favorite. E&O for less is just what I've been using for no other reason than I can remember the website name. Easy. Hey, Bianca, Jorge, what's going on? Ed, how long does it take to get an app completed in policy issue? So with final expense, what you're looking at, it's a one-call close, Ed. So that means on the phone or in person, you nail and close the deal. That first call, you ain't going back like 95% of the time, all right? And at the conclusion of that call, you have completed the application, it's been submitted, and in most cases, already been approved. And you leave that home or hang that phone up with the client approved and you having that coverage on her. And you never have to go back or do any kind of follow-ups again. It's what makes this business super cool. Issued usually takes a couple of days after that. Of course, it's made effective on the first draft date, which most cases in this business, it's buy now, pay later. We get them approved today, and then we take the premium out, typically on the Social Security deposit date the following month. Jody, when working with you, do you recommend starting a business, like naming it, registering? So yeah, this is a common question. I should come up with a video on this. I don't think I've ever really addressed it. But I tend to not recommend agents start with incorporating. It's your decision ultimately, but one of the things that's really valuable to me as a mentor and a coach, and as somebody who's recruited more than 2,500 agents, is momentum. When you are looking into this business and you make the decision to sell insurance with myself or any other agency, you're at your peak level of excitement. Because what you're about to get into is probably going to start to pull it away. You're going to have to start studying. You're going to have to start reviewing carriers. You're going to have to learn the script. You're going to have to practice the script. And that's work. And that can be kind of, I don't know, not to say demoralizing, but you know, you lose a little momentum because you realize, oh wow, this requires some effort. And so the more that tasks that you put in place between A, getting started, and B, being in front of a prospect or over the phone selling them, the longer time that goes on and the more complication that you add to it, the less likely you're going to reach point B. So have always been an advocate of get from point A to point B as quickly as humanly possible. And plus, the other factor is incorporation requires you to also insurance license as well in many cases. This adds time, this adds expense. To me personally, I'd rather you get some traction first to what I would call is this whole business is that you're going to prove the concept, a proof of concept. Take it and run with it and get success with it. And as soon as you start getting traction, that's when I would visit looking into this. At least that's what I did for myself personally. That's what I recommend to a lot of my agents as well. Again, the fastest route from point A to point B is the one to go to, especially in a performance-based business like this. Hey, Eric, Raymond. And by the way, again, if you got questions, line them up in the chat. I'll be getting to them momentarily as I review everything. Hey, Michael, what's going on? Do you make more from telesales or home appointments? I don't think there really is a difference with top producers. I've had top producers and have top producers that write 10,000 plus face-to-face. I have top producers that write 10,000, and this is weekly, by the way, that write 10,000 plus weekly over the phone. I don't really have one favorite over the other. I only favor one over the other based off of your kind of natural inclination towards one or the other. Part of what I'm interested in recruiting agents is where can I fit this agent that they would be best fit for? Is it face-to-face or is it telesales? And that's going to be based on their tonality, their engagement. It's going to be based on kind of their experience on the phone and kind of where they feel and their own personal instincts on where they layer prefer as well. It's important to get that right up front more than anything else. And if you got the right setup, the sky's the limit. That's how I look at it. Hey, Ed, did an e-app recently took over a month to be issued. Terrible, terrible. What company was it? Let us know. Hey, Kima, what's going on? Bianca, will it be unprofessional to have my daughter with me while I do network marketing? I'm a single mom, but I don't want that to be the reason I can't succeed. I don't know. You know, everybody's got a perception on things, and it's hard to say for sure. The salesman in me, Bianca, wants to say, well, how can you include your daughter as a part of the networking? You know, if I took I don't know how old your kid is, but I took my son to a recent event that we did, a one-day event in Nashville back in September, and I put him to work. You know, he was a part of the show. You know, he was recording for me. He was helping me with getting set up, talking with my guests and my speakers. And I enjoyed it personally because, as I found out as a father, my son's 12, is getting him involved in the business. It's fun. You know, it kind of adds this new level of dynamism to it. And I look back, and my mom, you know, raised me. I didn't have a dad in my life. I sure wish I had a dad that would show me kind of the ropes too. So I think there may be something special to it that you got to look at. You just got to think of how to present it in a way that, you know, maybe people don't perceive it. But ultimately, at the end of the day, you know, you have the cards you're dealt with. You got to work them the best you can, and you know, damn the torpedoes. You know, it's better that you're doing something constructive than not, right? So figure out how to make it work and go for it. Okay, Edwin. Does your agency offer the agent back office support with getting policies through the process? So Edwin, look, man, I mean, if you're doing final expense, there is no back office support. I mean, you get the policy issued, it's done. There's no go for work going back to get an APS or an exam completed or following up the client to ensure that it's going to get issued sometime soon. Like, none of that stuff with like fully underwritten business is even an issue. You know, you don't really do a lot of admin work. You might do a little bit, like changing beneficiaries or bank information, following up on lapses, but it's not that heavy. It's final expense is really a salesman's dream job because it's all about selling. It's about seeing the people or getting on the phone and talking to people. Now, Medicare requires a bit more cultivating of your list of clients that you've acquired. You want to keep them, so follow-up work is a necessity. Sending out mailers to keep in touch with them is a necessity. But again, it's not terribly all-encompassing. Hey, Kami, Medicare or final expense when joining your company? I typically, Kami, recommend final expense. And the reason why is it pays better, quicker, it's easier and simpler and faster to learn. And it's a great way for new agents who need money yesterday to get started. Whereas Medicare pays better and I think leads to a more not only lucrative long-term scenario, and also the way the money pays is passive income. It's not very good as first year, you know, pay the bills today type of strategy because it pays a lower commission and there's just a slower turnaround in profitability. But what we do at Duford Insurance Group is that we meld the two together, and in most cases, agents start with final expense. We have an in-house amazing Medicare sales and marketing system program for agents, and we take those agents 6-12 months in, train them on the art of selling Medicare, and then so we can incorporate both final expense and Medicare. So you're getting first-year driven commission, but also building a renewal stream as well. Davis, what are some of the breakdowns on lead ratios for new agents? Good question. You know, lead to meeting. So it's going to depend on the type of lead. I'll just stick with direct mail and Facebook leads since that's the most common. My expectations for agents face-to-face working direct mail are to get into half of the doors with direct mail. And that's going to take a combination of making phone calls and door knocking. So if you get 30 leads a week, I want to see 15 appointments, okay, between the combination of those. Out of those, I want to see you close half of those. So if you got 15 appointments, I would expect 6, 7, 8 deals a week. You may have some husband, wife, spouse, and spouse type of deals. So as a percentage of the leads, as far as homes of presentations closed, may be lower, but it's raw app count divided by completed presentations that I base that number off of. Over the phone, again, everything's harder over the phone, so the ratios aren't going to be as good. I would expect that a good close ratio off of Facebook leads is 5 to 7.5%, and excellent one is 10%. So if you buy 10 leads and you close 50 leads, Facebook leads, you close 3 deals, you're doing really well. 4 deals is awesome. What most agents do are full-time tend to get closer to 80 to 100 leads. If there's anything that's similar with my top producers who are doing Facebook leads, is they generate 100 plus Facebook leads a day, or they buy that much, and they have the sheer tsunami of lead volume on their side that helps them sift and sort to find their guy or gal who's interested in buying. And so that's what I would recommend, is a good volume of those. And there's some people, why is the ratio lower than that? Some people never pick up the phone. Some people just aren't going to buy from you because it's a telesale. They don't see you in the flesh. There's trust issues, right? So that leads to a lower close ratio. And then, so I think that hits that. If you, and I would say about 30, 40, 50% of those that you do a full presentation to on the phone should convert. It's just going to depend on the agent, of course, but somewhere in that range, it should be doable. If you want me to expand on that, let me know. Davis, happy to. Hey, Braun, hey. For a new agent, how long should we wait before offering Medicare plans to our clients? I think as a final expense agent coming to this business, 6, 12 months is ideal. The point is, I don't want you to overwhelm yourself as a new agent with too many products and too many strategies. Like, that's a recipe for disaster. I think about, for those of you who sold final expense, think about this and comment in the chat if you got an opinion on this. I'm sure what you thought final expense was when you first started seemed a lot simpler than what it was actually. Meaning when you got into the field or on the phone, chances are the complexity of selling it was a lot more than you originally thought. Now imagine dumping Medicare on top of that, right? That's going to make things a lot harder. And again, the more burdensome your load is to be effective and get in the field, the less likely you're going to have the momentum necessary to get to that point where you can sell and have the competence necessary to do it. So instead, what I endorse is starting with final expense for most agents, getting in the door started, then 6, 12 months in, start to implement some kind of Medicare strategy, because it's really important to build passive income, and you can definitely do it with Medicare. And the time now, guys, and I can talk about this if you're interested, the next 20 years is 100% all in on Medicare. It's going to be fantastic. The trends are all on our side. Political, economic environment is all really good for not just final expense, not for Medicare, but final expense too, but especially for Medicare. So that's what we look at it 6, 12 months in, then start Medicare. After you're stable and you feel confident, you can write final expense every week. That's the idea. Jason, hi David. Hey, how you doing? Hey, I'm working, can't listen. I'll watch the replay. Thanks for all you do. You do not selling yet. Can you give me a good email address? Yeah, davidduford.com/contact. If you guys want to reach me, go there. And then I read all those messages personally. And that goes for anybody. Hey, Mohammed, how you doing? Jody, sounds like the company I just quit today. Now we're getting to that comments on the captive company, which shall remain nameless. It was a breath of fresh air leaving them, and I'm excited to start working. Thank you, appreciate it. Kim, if I license with you as an individual first, is the process hard to transition over to an LLC later? Absolutely not. Very easy. So like with me, you'd go in Assurance Bay, change your affiliation from individual to corporation. So any new contracting you would get done would be set up with your corporation. You then get your insurance, well actually before that, you get your insurance license on your corporation. Then you go to each of your appointments and change that designation. So it's some paper pushing, but it's not too complicated to change it after the fact. Part of the reason why I'm not like, you got to do all this stuff now before you even swing the bat at the plate, you know. Hey Kevin, what's going on? Nice to see you, man. Michaela, hey Michaela, can you further explain the lead subsidy program of DIG? And okay, so the lead subsidy program is for Medicare. It's not for anything else but for Medicare Advantage sales. And the idea is that for every sale you make, we credit $75 into your lead system, right? It's not money paid to you as a bonus, it's credit towards leads for every Medicare Advantage sale. So if you write enough business, you either significantly reduce, if not completely eliminate your lead cost. What's the catch? You got to be captive with us. You have to commit contractually 5 years to us, just for the Medicare. Now, I say all this because it's an optional program to do this. You don't have to do this. Some people are like, whoa, I don't want to do that long. That's cool. You just have to pay for your cost of leads. The reason we do this is because we lose money for the first couple of years on an agent to offset their cost of leads. Again, that's the biggest deterrent to getting started with Medicare is the lead cost, because the lead cost eats into your profitability. And the only way we can make it sensible to us is if we have that agent committed. So if you think about it in our shoes, if an agent wrote all sorts of business and you cut a check for $30,000 on leads, right? And then they roll that business over, they leave you, they roll that business over somewhere else. You lose those residuals because they switch to another company, because sometimes companies come in and change things up. Well, you've lost that upside potential that you invested into the leads for that agent for, right? So it's not a good business decision not to have them committed to you. So not everybody likes it. It's completely fine. But at least you know why we do it, and you can, bottom line, make the decision if that's right for you or not. And then for the Kickstarter program, that's an old program. I just changed some of that. I kind of got rid of that. It was an idea I had that really didn't take and manifest as well. Essentially, it takes 15 to 20 days to start selling final expense with us. I think that's enough time to get onboarded and contracted properly and to be thoroughly prepared from a sales and marketing perspective. And one thing I'm going to start toying with the idea of is lowering the requirements in lead investment. We've got good access to some aged lead vendors that I think would be good for those people who can't invest the amount that we normally require to join the agency. So that's what that's in reference to mostly than anything. And then if anybody wants to start faster than 15 to 20 days, they can. That's just a normal start time. Some people start selling in 7 to 10 days. They just have the time to study, and that's cool, and we support it. Ramundo, hey. What is your opinion on Family First Life Insurance? I just discovered it on YouTube. It seems like a great company, but I wanted to know your opinion. So here's my thoughts on Family First Life, a couple of things. And this is generic advice, no matter where you're looking, kind of like what I talked about very early. Check the commission levels on all the carriers, number one. Make sure the person recruiting you has street cred. Do they know what they're doing, number one? And do they know how to train you, number two? Sometimes the best salespeople are the worst trainers. If anybody's been in sales, y'all know what I mean. Some managers, the skill set to be a salesperson and manager is just quite different. So make sure you vet that person, because with the company as big as FFL, they've done a fantastic job of growing. It can vary between who is recruiting you. So I would ask you to vet that. And then it's kind of same principle applies. Who's been successful at your agency? Can I talk to them? Get a feel for how they are. And I would also recommend interviewing with 1 or 2 other agencies as well, just to, again, give yourself full exposure to seeing who's really a good fit and who you have an affinity towards and who's really going to satisfy what it is that you want out of this business the best. All right, continuing. Thomas. I've been implementing senior seminars. Awesome. What is your recommended lead source to get consistent low-cost leads? Direct mail. Direct mail is still king. Fresh and exclusive direct mail. That's absolutely what I recommend. Also, Facebook leads can be good still. Those are good if you got the right vendors. But that's pretty much it. If you need aged lead vendors, tipstricksandclosers.com has some aged leads, overages that might be good. Same thing with gametimeleads.com. That were either unpurchased or were purchased but never worked or something like that. So check those out if you need some cheaper lead options. Michael, what are your thoughts on generating your own leads like giveaway funnels? So, you know, what we call the fancy word we use now with lead generation is the intent of why they requested the information. The more you can keep the intent on the purchasing of life insurance, the better off you're going to be, okay? However, there are lead systems like some I've used, like Walmart gift card leads, or I've heard of these funnels that give away like free vacations and stuff. You're going to lower the cost of the leads, but you're going to change the intent of the lead. That doesn't make the lead not workable. It just changes how you work them. And it might add some level of difficulty to it, to say the least. So my point is understand what you're getting into. You're getting into a type of lead that's going to be lower quality, that just wants the free handouts, the free stuff, And you just got to accept that as it stands, because that's what allows you to drive volume. Now, the hope is by offering something free, you'll sometimes get some people that also want the life insurance too, that wouldn't have clicked on the ad. And really, at the end of the day, you've got to test the system out to see how it is. I know there's some agents, my agents don't really work that system, but I've heard of agents that really gripe about that, especially the digitally based one. I personally had lots of success using a gift card Walmart lead in my day selling insurance. And although some people complain about that, I personally thought they worked just as fine as any other lead. But that was a direct mail lead, a little bit different. I think it's easier to click on a digital ad, and you're not going to get as high intent anyway, so this is just another variable. So it is what it is, and you just kind of know what to expect going into it. You're welcome. Ooh, okay, hold on. Way behind on the questions here. Hold it. Hey, Raymond. When should you consider a virtual assistant to manage your book of business? When you don't have the time for it, or you've got the cash flow and money, and your per hour worth can justify it. I was looking at my daily, it's funny that you mentioned this, I was looking at my daily and hourly income, and it really put some things in perspective. It's like, I make X amount an hour, if you look at all my cash or all my cash flow and streams of income. And it's like, okay, am I sitting around here doing X, Y, Z? Is it really worth doing all these things, right? So it's good to assess that, but there comes a point when you need to rely on help. And the good news is that a virtual assistant to manage your book of business can be inexpensive, $5 to $10 an hour. You can get a nice Filipino person who's very good and will do the job if you want to go the offshore route, and can relieve a lot of your work. One of the best things I do think that's a good investment for a lot of final expense agents is to invest in an appointment setter. For a couple $100 a week, you can offload what many feel is the most frustrating part of the job and free up all that extra time to go run more appointments. I did that from the first day I was in the field selling final expense. I feel like it, and I've always had one since the last day. And I feel like it's the best decision from a business standpoint ever made. Hat tip or pro tip, there we go, pro tip. Check out Upwork.com to post a job ad to find people who will make these calls and appointment setting for you as an idea. Jiu-Jitsu student or master? I'm just a student. I'm just a blue belt, one striper, so nothing too impressive. I'm happy that you're so helpful. Thanks, Ray. What size dual monitors are correct? I don't know. I don't know the question to that. Big. I like them big. Eric, what was the average or accepted average for how many leads turn into sits and sits that turn into customers? Eric, I addressed that. I know these questions are quite old. So if I didn't address it to your level of depth, let me know and I'll hit you back up. DC, oh, by the way, please hit the like button. I like you liking this video because it helps YouTube's algorithm send this video to other insurance agents who may be watching on other channels but don't get the full scoop on how this business really is. So by you hitting the like button, it helps YouTube convince YouTube to share this with other people. So thanks for doing that. Have you ever heard of AIL, American Income Life? Sure have. What do you think? AIL, you're going to be working union leads, child safety leads. You're going to have a lower commission, 45, 50, 55%. Check the vesting clauses, how long that it takes to be vested for. Same things I recommend for everybody. Look at who you're joining. Can they train you? One thing I've seen with some AIL agents I've recruited, they're trained very well. They're type A's. They go after it. They're really good. They're terminators. But it's not for everybody. Some people complain that the lead system's a bait and switch. That's what other people say. I don't know for sure. That they use these leads to get in to then talk about insurance when they thought they were getting something else. That's a common complaint I'll hear. Again, I don't know personally. But I know for sure AL has produced a lot of production, and there are some people very well trained to do very well there. And if you know about us, why do we get so much hate when the company can provide so much for agents and has using support? Yeah, I mean, look, here's the critiques you're going to get. And you got to be, and if you're comfortable with this, fair enough. But you sell one product, it's higher price than others, and that leads into the potential, and it's different for everybody, ethical considerations of, do I feel good overcharging relative to another company for term or whole life insurance? And then also what AIL may not accept, another will. So you may be losing out on the ability to help people who need insurance, but because of AIL's underwriting, it may not take it. Again, I don't know the specifics, but these are things that are what people say and are concerned with to express kind of their, just disdain to just, I wouldn't do it type of thing. My take on it, I guess I could say I've matured a little bit since I've gotten into this business. I used to be piss and vinegar about hate towards other companies. I'm not really so much anymore. Look, if somebody's covered, that's better than if they weren't, even if it's an overpriced company. The way certain carriers and agencies work is a better structure for a lot of people than what I do. And again, this is just over time what I've realized. Some people need a lot of the micromanagement and a lot of the kind of more employee type feel than more of an entrepreneurial one. So at least you're helping people. Now, I would argue there are perhaps better options out there, better prices. Maybe you can help more people as a broker. But again, it's your ultimate decision that you got to make as a business person, how you run your business. $460 a month. Good Lord, Abron. Sorry about that. Yeah, it's $460 a year. My bad. Hey, Garage. Hello. Steve Severt. Great session, David. Some great questions from others. Yeah, I agree. Thank you. How to generate your own leads as an individual is the best way. Tim, I would say the short and dirty way to do that is learn how to do digital advertising, utilizing Facebook or Google Ads or YouTube, and invest time in how to structure and run and test campaign ideas. Spend some time on putting together or how to put together good videos or good copy, and test to find out what works best for you. That is what it is in a nutshell. Now, the deeper scoop on that is there's courses out there you can buy. I like Agent Autopilot. I like Bobby V's program. You can find those if you do Duford, and then the names of those on YouTube. You can figure out what's out there. Judge for yourself. I have an affiliate relationship with Agent Autopilot. I don't with Bobby. I think both systems are very good. Let's see what else. Yeah, and just kind of like doing that. And I think there is value in doing that because when you don't have to be at the mercy of a lead provider, like it does kind of free you a little bit. I do that with some of my leads. I do a lot of stuff in this business I don't talk too much about. For example, I've got a couple of websites I generate organic leads on, and I don't pay anything for those leads, but it's because I've spent the last 5 or 6 years learning search engine optimization and learning how to find, low-hanging fruit opportunities. They're very rare to find nowadays, but I can generate leads that are high quality with no cost, right? Except for the cost to, produce the content and rank it. So yeah, it's a good thing you can invest time in. Patrick, final expense telesales. Do you find there's a lull in prospects or closing during the holidays? Nah, I don't know. I told an agent earlier today, I said if there's 2 times of the year that I would be less inclined to work, where there's maybe a seasonality to it, it's Thanksgiving week, specifically Tuesday or Wednesday till the end of the week, and then Christmas week. That's it. I think the rest of the months of the year, the rest of those months as well, are wide open and full of opportunity. Now, I don't personally like working December. Some agents feel like there's some difficulty. It took me 2 years of earnestly working it before I just decided not to do it anymore. And I just took off after the 10th. I doubled my work in November and January to make up for it. But my advice would be to work it, because one of the things that's true about the holidays, what about the holidays is true? It's the most depressing time of the year. Well, it's supposed to be the most wonderful time of the year, right? No. What do you think about when you're in your 60s and 70s during Christmas and the holidays? You think about your family. You think about your loved ones that are deceased, your mom or your dad, your spouse. People go through depressions. A lot of heart attacks happen at the end of the year. A lot of stress, okay? So what do people do when they think about dying? They think about getting life insurance, incidentally. So for some, it's the best time of the year, and I've got some agents that will attest that feel like, hey, work in December has been great for me. Why would I take it off? So it's going to come down to personal preference. My advice is to work it as a new agent, figure it out for yourself, and then judge after a couple years of trying if it's right for you or not. Is organic website the best way to get quality leads? Those days are long gone, Mr. Rabbit. Anthony Martin is a genius. I'm going to have him back on to do an interview with me. We're going to do an interview to explain to you why you shouldn't spend any time on organic marketing. The problem is with organic marketing now is that the direct most way to generate leads, like best burial insurance for a senior, is completely overrun by big money websites that have the capital and the authority that a small-time guy like you don't have. And one thing that shifted in Google's search algorithm is they started to have, for certain topics, they started to heavily weight authority over the quality of content. And that hurts a beginning website that doesn't have links from high authority websites. And that takes time and money and investment over years. And so it's really, if you had a lot of money to put in it, could you do it? Sure. But to me personally, I think it's a better utilization of your time to learn how to do paid ads and to work your way to the top right away through a paid ad strategy. So anyways, if Anthony's listening out there, I'm sure he's not. He's always closing business over the phone, too busy for this stuff. Next year, we're going to do an interview, and we're going to talk about in more detail why. Ron, hey Ron, what would the proximate commission be if you write a $5,000 policy? It just depends on the premium. So with final expense, it's a contingent on the premium. So, and the commission of the carrier. But if it was $50 a month and a $600 annual premium policy, if you're an experienced agent with me, you get paid 120%. So the company's going to pay you directly $720 for the year. But again, it varies. Can you speak on the Autopilot really briefly? I got an email about it the other day. Autopilot, I do promotions like 3 times a year. It is a CRM system with some automation on it. I know the guy who developed it, Josh Jones, for many years. I've known him since he first started back in 2013 or 12. Good guy, honest guy. And the system's just kind of his way as an agent that he designed to help agents who wanted a more advanced CRM feature. So if you like CRMs and you want to use them and you want to use one that's been used by an agent, has the understanding of an insurance agent, specifically final expense and Medicare background, then you may want to check out the Agent Autopilot program. I think it's pretty good. Where can I get age leads? I'll mention again, get some ones I've seen, GameTimeLeads.com, I think, and definitely TipsTricksAndClosers.com. Edward, would you recommend self-generated leads or live transfers? So the problem with live transfers right now is that in most cases, your live transfers are originated in Pakistan, and they're aggressively transferred to an agent without very good qualification. So a lot of people pay, $25 or $30 for a transfer, and the guy on the other end of the line is like, you called me, why do I need to talk to you, right? Or I told that guy I wasn't interested. So it's a very aggressive process that kind of results in lower quality than you'd like. The real live transfers, the ones like, for example, TV leads, we used to do them, but the call centers bid them through the roof. The best live transfers are going to be if you're working with like a North Star Insurance Advisors or, Select Quote or Assurance IQ. If they can get you live transfers, they're going to be the most likely to get you the TV leads, which are the best. So that's why if you're an independent agent, most likely the best strategy is to do massive amounts of outbound calls using cheap digital leads that you self-generate or find and purchase from a vendor, or you implement some kind of calendar type strategy. So I got a couple of agents that they'll have their leads preset an appointment on their calendar, and about half show, but the half that show are really good quality. They've been pre-sold a bit. So by the time they're on the phone, they already know who they are. They kind of like them, trust them, know what it's about, and they close about 2/3 of those presentations, so they end up being good. Connor, when selling over the phone, calling direct mail and internet leads for MAPD, do you think that you have more success on one call close or setting appointments? So as soon as they say hello, it's game on, presentation started. The goal is to end that call with a sale. Okay, you never do a callback on a telesales lead, period, ever. Because it is an act of God. It's providential, even, that a person picks up the phone. It really is. The fact that you hear a live human being and not a dial tone or a voicemail is like, oh my God, it really is. I really think that. So don't squander the opportunity, because people, as soon as you hang up with them, enter the witness protection program. They realize they've just been solicited to buy something over the phone, and they disappear forever. vaporize into the ethers. So take the opportunity on that first call, because it's your last call, and close, sell. Do you know any good IP phone services? No, I don't. Skype. I'm sure there's plenty out there, but I don't know any that are good, personally. Follow up on your current answer. If we're more comfortable with Medicare Advantage prescription drug plans, do we have the option to start? Yeah, sure. You can start. So you can start with Medicare Advantage plan sales with me. I just want to warn you, if you do that, there's a cash flow issue with just because it pays less, and a lot of what we do are replacement plans, so it's going to pay less. So as long as you understand what you're getting into, it's cool with me. You can definitely start with Medicare. Jorge, what's your feeling on Senior Life? Kind of like my feeling on Lincoln Heritage. Good companies, they help a lot of people. Some coverage is better than none, but the ultimate issue I have is that Senior Life isn't always necessarily going to be the most competitively priced. It's not always going to be the best deal for the client, and you're now in a position where you may not be offering a competitive, attractive package to the client, and you expose yourself to replacement risk. I act, and one of the things, again, it's nothing it's just business with the company, but when as an agent, I always thought in how I sold and my products I selected, I always thought, if I knew for a fact that an agent was going to come behind me in the next 3 to 6 months, how would I act? How would I run my appointments? So all of what I teach my agents, script-wise, carrier selection-wise, that's kind of like the elephant in the room. Somebody's coming behind you. Are you prepared to make sure they don't replace you? And when you pick a strategy that's a one-company strategy, Senior Life or anybody, it could be even a regular broker-based company, you're limiting your options to your clients. You're limiting the pricing options to your clients. And the policies you sell are just not always going to be the best deal that you could have gotten as a broker. So therefore, somebody's going to come by you, and they're going to show that person there's something else out there that's better priced or maybe better offering on underwriting, and they're going to replace you. And they don't like us saying, some of these guys that are one company people don't like saying this, the hogwash, blah, blah, blah. But guys, my business, as well as my agents, many of our business is based off of helping our clients rid themselves of inferior plans and improving their coverage. And it's just normal. It's just part of the business. And to act like it's not is foolish, which is why I have this conversation with. So if you want to work for that company or any company, fine. Just be honest. Like I say up here on my wall, embrace and deal with reality. This is reality, and it is a risk. It may not be a big risk to you, but for some, it's a huge risk that takes them out of the business. So that's why I'm concerned. Bianca, if you can't afford weekly leads, can you do face-to-face when you can? So if you can't afford the $250 minimum on like age leads getting started, and I would also recommend doing seminar marketing too. That's a system that I teach in combination with age leads. If you can't do that, I would say save up your money so that you give this business an honest shot. One of the biggest reasons agents fail this business, I did a survey on it. If you want to look on YouTube for it, it's pretty informative. One of the biggest reasons people fail is they run out of money. So money matters, right? If your last $500 is thrown into leads, probably isn't a good idea. It's a Hail Mary, So and we have to take this serious. It's a business after all, right? Annuities. What is your commission on Athene? Fixed index annuities, street considered 6%. Commissions there, I don't know because we don't do a ton of annuity business. We do some. If you want to send me an email, I can show you what it is. Just let me know what your background is. Like, if you ever written an annuity before, if so, projected, or how much have you written, and then I can kind of show you what we can do based off of experience. Jay Verdole. Don't know if you answered this, but what's your opinion on FFL? I did earlier. If you didn't get it, rewind. Ron, do you use carriers that use a basic life graded benefit where the death benefit steadily increases over the first 2 years ownership? Yes. We have some variations of that. We just call them graded plans. Like Guarantee Trust Life does that. First year, it's return of premium plus 5% interest. Second year is 50% death benefit. Third year and beyond is full coverage. One of the changes with final expense, a lot of plans came out with standard pricing and preferred pricing level coverage. So you could accept some squirrely health conditions that would normally be graded, but on a first day full coverage basis at a higher price, standard price. So we don't write a ton of graded business, as it turns out. It's mostly just preferred, standard, or level coverage, guaranteed issue, and then GTL's kind of graded plan, like you said. What's the best final expense? Carrier, I assume you mean, Laura? I don't have a favorite. I can tell you by strategy, face-to-face, I like agents starting with Trinity Life, Family Benefit, same company, depends on the state. Prosperity Life, Foresters, Guarantee Trust Life, and AIG, GI, Guaranteed Issue. For Telesales, I like Prosperity, Royal Neighbors, Aetna Ascendo, CVS Health Plan, Great Western, Guaranteed Issue, and Guarantee Trust Life. Those are my main lineups. Now you can switch and mix and match those to a certain extent. There's a lot of really good carriers these days, but I think a combination of carriers is really what ultimately you need to have, because some carriers won't cover conditions while others will. Ron also, and does this graded benefit really have much value from? Yeah, it's kind of answered that, right? I mean, GTL does. You can get things like congestive heart failure with GTL, heart issues that happen within the last 12 months of GTL. It's very handy. Drug issues, drug addiction issues. It's 40 to 90 years old. It comes in handy for sure. But beyond that, no. Graded just might write it on a direct express person who has COPD, and I can't get them with another company. But that's about it with Prosperity. Dave Murray, for Telesales, what would be the average percentage of rescissions to expect? Before payment, after payment, and before first payment, and before first year. I can give you a rough estimate just in totality. Probably if you're a broker and you have good competitive carriers, 20%. So that means you keep 80% of the business you write for the first year. We've done Telesales long enough that I haven't seen a convincible difference in persistency over the phone versus face-to-face. That's not and that was always a criticism of Telesales, is that, well, people lapse more. They're not connected to you. Well, when you're a broker and you can sell better deals and make sure it's not going to get replaced based off of a lack of value, you don't see as many of them. And as long as you sell according to the client's budget, you're not pushy, you're likely going to do fine and not have a lot of rescissions. Can an agent, hey, time creator, contract with you for just one carrier and do carrier contracts with other IMOs? Generally, no. It depends on your experience level. So picture this in my shoes. If you're new to me and you do one carrier with me, but I train you and provide all just great information, you place that business elsewhere, it doesn't make any business sense, right? I'm looking for relationships where people are just as committed to me as I am to them, okay? Especially if they're new. So I'm not interested as a new agent to do that. But where I am interested in, and there's other issues with that I'll tell you in a minute. If you're experienced and you want to put a few pieces of business with me, I'm cool with that. That's a different setup. One thing that also matters, I think, as a new agent, you should be all in with one agency. The worst thing you can do is spread yourself thin, because you're going to get differing opinions on how to set appointments, what script to use, different leads. And look, the more talking heads you've got at you telling you what to do, the more confusion you're going to experience. I would rather you just find the person you totally believe in and go all in with that person. And then that way you can hear directly from the person that you feel is your strongest influencer or mentor to tell you exactly how to run this business. Whether that's me or anybody else, doesn't matter. But I think that there's the less confusion and complexity you add to anything, the better the outcome's going to be. Time flies on these live streams. It's almost 6 o'clock. Kiema, so with the 5 years capped in Medicare commitment, how much would an agent need to have to get started with Medicare leads? A couple $1,000s, I think, would be comfortable. So, $2,000 to $3,000, same as final expense on a full-time basis. And so, so answer same for final expense for Medicare. Patrick, do you know if I will need a Florida telemarketing license to be compliant in general? How does the do not call list work? Don't do it. It's a waste of time. Cold calling sucks. I know very few people who are actually successful at cold calling. I had a lady, though, that did tell me she was doing Medicare cold calling. And what was her, there's no video with if you look it up on YouTube, it's cold calling script that really works. And she used that script, and it says something like, hey, this is David Duford. I help people out with their Medicare to get them better benefits. Is this something you'd like to hear more about? Something real simple and straightforward. And she said that was the best script she ever used. People are like, yeah, actually I am. So it's it's not the typical diary of the mouth script. But beyond that, I just don't cold call. It's just a grind. It's tough. I'd only do it if I was up against the wall financially and had no other options but to dig in and dial. But there's DNC issues, quality of the list that you buy. People sue agents for alleged D&C violations. I just prefer to stay away from it. I'd rather you door knock, even with coronavirus and all that, than call on the phone, personally. Lance, where can I find all-inclusive list of carriers and their commission schedules? If you go to davidduford.com/FAQ and read through all of that, that should help. And then in the onboarding process, you can see I have a full drive of all the grids for each carriers. If you want to see that before then, just go to davidduford.com/contact. Let me know. I'll send it to you and anybody else interested. Dennis, hey Dennis. Hi David. Have you ever heard of the Stover Group? No, I have. I mean, no, I have. Getting late. That sounds familiar, but I don't know anything about it. So I can't help you. What is the IMO or agency they're affiliated with? So it's probably like, there are some out there like the Arius Group, or that's an AIL agency, or what's the other one? Unitrust, I think that's Symmetry. So some of these take on a different brand name than the underlying IMO. So if you tell me a little more, that's what I need to know to give you an assessment. Why did the bake get denied? She was high risk. Thank you for your amazing humor. What would we do without you? Jody, what's the average dollar amount you can expect to spend out of pocket to really get started? $2 to $3 grand full-time, part-time, 15 to 2,000 is best. And that's final expense, telesales, face-to-face, or Medicare. What is your opinion of senior life? Mentioned it already. I currently sell under FFL. I really want to get into Medicare side of it. If I want to sell Medicare with you, then would I? No. Yeah, great question, Richard. Thank you for asking that. If you want to do Medicare with me and your agency doesn't, but you don't want to leave them for what you have there, no problem. I'll be happy to do just Medicare with you, or happy to do just final expense with you. I'm not a jealous IMO, okay? So I like relationships. Like, I'm a relationship guy. If I can start business with you and feel like it's a great fit, I know over time I'll win the rest of it. You know, I'm patient and I'm not jealous. So if I can start Medicare with you, Richard, 100% happy to help. I think it's absolutely worth it. And if you're happy with FFL, and if anybody's happy where they are with that and want to do this with me, works fine with me. Is November and December typically slower for final expense sales to holidays? If I need to repeat that, let me know. Generally, no, except Christmas and Thanksgiving weeks. Mohammed, if someone is not a citizen or permanent resident, can they still get an insurance license? I think you got to have like a permanent residence or a green card to get a license. I think and it depends on the state. I would, Mohammed, call like the state of Florida. I've been asked this more recently than usual. I'm going worldwide here, I guess. But you do have to have some kind of, I don't know, you have to be in the States and you have to have some kind of residency, whether it's a green card. I don't know all the difference. Permanent resident. I don't think you have to be a citizen, though. I think you have to be like the step or two below that. Jacob, 50% starting after 50K or 90 days, you get 60. 10 years, 100% vested. Union leads and will kits, predominantly no more child safety kits. Good. Yeah, I think the union leads are probably better, personally. Dave, what are your thoughts on spouses working together? Uh-oh. Spouses. Okay. Laura, can you hear me? Okay, good. Now I can tell you the truth. Laura's my wife. So, here's my saying. Well, let me start with the story. So, I asked my dad, little quick story. My dad divorced my mom when I was 3. Didn't really stick around when I was a kid. Connected back when I was 16, 17, kind of off and on. Meantime, so I want you to understand, I grew up in a lower middle class environment. My mom was a nurse, right? Single mom most of her life, most growing up. That's my background, okay? My dad was fabulously wealthy and rich, okay? He built a business from the ground up in the chemical business, Duchem. If you want to do research for it, you'll see where they sold out in 2006 to Ecolab, big chemical conglomerate in Minnesota. And did very well, 20 years doing it and made out like a bandit. At 46, 7, 8, multimillionaire, don't know how much retired. Since then, a couple divorces later, shorted Apple stock. He's back to work somewhere in North Dakota now, in his 60s. Anyways, harder to keep money than make it. A very important lesson. I get sidetracked here. Okay, so my point is, I asked him when I was starting my personal training business, I said, Dad, if you could give me one piece of advice, and being successful in business, what would it be? And he said, son, never hire friends and family. Never hire friends and family. It turns out Dad had hired and fired his, well, ex-wife now, but wife at the time, twice. His adopted kids once, if not multiple times. His sister-in-law, or maybe brother-in-law. The only person in the family he didn't fire was me, because he never hired me. So I think the point of that was money in business tends to ruin relationships if things go sour. Most businesses do fail. And so that was kind of a defining thing in my mind I always kept. And personally, I always separated business from pleasure. My wife's a stay-at-home mom. She homeschools our kids. I'm kind of a traditional type of family, I guess you could say. It's very important for me because I grew up with seeing my mom go to work all the time, and I know she didn't want to go to work. She wanted to be mom. And I vowed, as I've been able to do throughout everything, twins, when we had twins, our first kid, that I would never let my wife work full-time. And been pretty good at that. I wanted her to be mom. And I didn't want her involved in the business because I felt like based on that experience that, that's bad, and I don't want to get a divorce, or change the dynamics of my relationship. So I say all this. Of course, is that true for everybody? No. There's some good power couples that do well, I'm sure. But for me, I don't want to do it. I like to keep things separate. Now, incidentally, I will admit my wife has been a source of very good ideas. She has always kind of been that, well, you're stupid. Why aren't you doing that? And it's like, some idea that I got her. That idea is dumb. Kind of a way to simplify things. So she's always a good sounding board for me. So it's not like she's completely detached and clueless. But the role that she plays isn't in any sort of direct operations or anything like that. And I just the way I wanted it. And the way she wanted it, incidentally, too. So there you go. Now, will I have my son work with me? Maybe one day. I'd like it. I'd like to have my son work with me. Girls work with me, sure. But, it's not something that, from a spousal standpoint, that I've ever been really hot to do. That's one man's opinion. Eric, been enjoying your videos. I'm a Telesales final expense insurance agent, was paid on a paid lead program, but just transitioned to pay to play. And I'm struggling with lead cost versus written apps. Yeah, what are you using for your leads? Tell me in the chat, and I'll kind of give you some advice. It is definitely a difference from having everything taken care of. You don't have to worry about leads to now worrying about leads. And for some people, it's not a good move. It looks better on paper because it's more commission. And for some, it works, but for others, it's not. So one of the things I've learned over time. David's right. Certain health metrics need to be met. Otherwise, your deal is trialed, and you have to wait 1 or 2 months to wait for commissions, right? So do you offer agents a paid lead program? Agents with me pay for their own leads. That's the catch. I don't offer free leads, although agents can do our seminar marketing strategy, and it's essentially free. To generate free leads that are high quality. But we use that as kind of a supplement to getting started, or if you're using age leads and you can't invest fully. So I do like the seminar marketing strategy for sure. I'm probably gonna start talking about it more because it works so well. And some of these lockdown restrictions have loosened in a lot of states. Okay. Hey, Ron, mortgage protection leads, you focus and train on that? No, I don't do mortgage protection from a branding standpoint anymore because I know well the senior market. I like the senior market more than the mortgage protection market. I think the senior market is more, and we're seeing this right now, inflation risks, supply chain issues. This is going to affect employment. Well, my seniors don't work. They're paid by Uncle Sam. And when I started back in 2011, during the midst of the Great Recession, nobody was doing mortgage protection because nobody was buying homes. Everybody was tight on their money. There was a general fear and apprehension to buy, at least on Main Street. And the mortgage protection market was just gone. And so mortgage protection is cyclical. As long as houses are sold and there's a lot of inventory, the business is great because the lead is derived from a new home sale or a refi. But that dries up, it's gone. And I predicted a year ago, and I was totally wrong, a year and a half ago, that get out of mortgage protection, totally wrong. Mortgage protection has been great, but it's cyclical. It goes real hot, and then it's going to go cold at some time in the future. Whereas the senior market's pretty consistent. You're going to see the senior market stay pretty much the same for the next 20 years, and it's steadily gonna get better. And we've seen even in past 10 years, companies like Lincoln Heritage, others, progressively each year through the Great Recession and on, 10% plus growth every year over year, and they're strictly final expense. So I decided to go all in on the senior market just to double down my focus, and then for the reasons mentioned with mortgage protection, get out of it. All right, not everybody's meant to sell insurance, 100%. They're not. I'm tired of hearing people saying anybody can do this business. Not everybody can do this business, let's be honest. Not everybody can be doctors, right? Not everybody can fly airplanes, right? A lot of people can do this business if they're trained right and supported right, but even so, some people just don't get it. And it's okay. Hey, look, that's just how life is. You find out what works for you and you find out what doesn't. Remember, like this video if you haven't. Let YouTube know that you like the video so that YouTube will share my content and specifically this video with agents who need to hear it. Thank you. Mark, do you know anything about North Star Insurance Advisors? I like them if you're comfortable in a virtual call center environment at a lower commission but having all your leads generated for you. Some people it's a great fit for, other people it isn't. But they've got good training on telesales. It's a one-product approach with Pioneer Life. Same limitations with one product apply there, but for some it's a good fit. What legalities come with bringing in your own leads? For instance, if I posted something, there's more of issues with the carriers that you promote and getting their permission to do that on ads. Just use common sense. Don't make promises that are wrong. And all else fails, refer to your Department of Insurance and the state you're marketing in for guidance. Lance, ACA open enrollment starts next week. How many IFG leads should I expect to come through each day on the Help on Demand platform? I don't know. I'm not with IFG. Hopefully a lot, so you make a lot of money. Mark, what's wrong with Mutual of Omaha? I thought that they are price competitive, but you never suggest them. Mark, the only reason I don't like them as a preferred carrier is there's some issues getting instant decisions for a while. And B, over the phone, they require a multi-step process for an e-signature, so they're not telesales friendly. But I don't think they're that bad. I think there's other products that have better underwriting that I would choose over them, but you're right, Moo's very competitively priced. I mean, if you like them, do them. I live in the Southeast, we've got a lot of diabetes down here, weight issues, complications of diabetes, COPD, so carriers like Moo are a little more problematic. Jody, also working under you, is it encouraged to also try to bring in your own leads, or do you recommend using your lead generator? I would prefer you can bring your own leads in, but look at that as supplementary to the strategies we teach. They're featured on Forbes. I don't know who was featured on Forbes. Sorry, I'm way behind on questions here. Oh man, there's so many of them. My brain is starting to fry. Bianca, do you have to have a life and accidental health license? Life is just fine, Bianca. Yeah, you don't need health. It's good to get it to sell Medicare later, but you can wait. That's what I did. What do you think about Lincoln Heritage final expense product? I think I covered that just with the reference like with Senior Life. Same kind of thoughts. If you missed that, go back. If you want me to expand on anything, let me know. Thoughts on Travelers? I have my auto insurance with them. Pretty good. I don't know what it's like to work for him. I also watch Doug Massey's YouTube. Would you consider your agency similar to Doug? Yeah, there's definitely a lot of similarities. I'd say more than differences. Doug's one of the good guys in the business. So my advice is if you're thinking about joining him versus me, talk to both of us. Make a decision based off the connection you get. How difficult is it to transfer from carriers if you want to work for him? Usually not too bad, Dennis. It depends on the upline and the agency. A lot of the times, if you're stuck, we just get you other carriers. It's really not as big of a deal it used to be 5 years ago. Michael, how do you feel about Dave Ramsey and his cult-like followers? There's always good and bad. I mean, Dave talks about getting people out of debt. I think debt is I don't feel good about debt. I think getting out of debt is a good thing. So I like that. I think term insurance is fine for a lot of people. But I don't know. I don't know. He's a influencer, right? He's got his angle. And anytime I hear people who don't try to approach things open-mindedly or with some sort of rationale of like balance, I get a little bit questionable. You know, like term's not good for seniors. I would think, you know, somebody can't qualify. Why would you want to get the senior term? I had an argument again when I used to waste time arguing on the internet with somebody on my channel who ultimately said, you know, you're hawking whole life, you're a crook. And I said, well, if you listen to the video, you'll hear how I talk about seniors getting it who are health, you know, in a bad situation of health. And he basically said, well, too late for them, they shouldn't get anything. I'm like, okay, so the best thing is to not do anything as opposed to getting them something and you don't think that's good because it's not termed? Well, that's stupid. So, you know, I can't fix stupid. And I've tried my whole life to fix stupid. You can't do it. So you just don't deal with stupid. And you find not stupid. There's a lot of not stupid out there. But the stupid, you just, once you recognize stupid, you walk away, don't deal with it. Because it's just going to rip your soul out trying to convince them. Jody, laughing my ass off. I always wanted to be a stay-at-home mom wife, and now I'm doing this so my husband can finally stop working. Cool. Do you generate leads for states in California? Yes, we do. We have direct mail, Facebook options available. Lucky Charms. Now I'm hungry. Especially I've been on keto for like 10 days. Lucky Charms sounds so good. So good. How long did it take you to earn 6 figures? 3 years. 2 years, 3 years. I started the first 2 years are part-time because I failed out after a year, didn't do full-time that long. Really that third year, definitely getting into the fourth year was when the income became substantial. Third year, 6 figures. If I had followed the system and I wasn't, you know, being immature and I had some humility, I probably would have gotten paid faster at that level. But this is, you know, like I said, you can't fix stupid. You also, you know, some lessons you can't learn. I mean, I can tell you this stuff, but maybe you have to experience this for yourself. So everybody's different. Simon Arias is an amazing SGA. Also, another SGA has his top producers booking beneficiaries when naming an app, calling and booking as many possible to go over claims process. Thoughts on that? Sure, if it works, go for it. Kind of standard fare in the business to work beneficiaries for leads. It works. Why not? I'm using PPG Telesales leads, $30 for a bank verified lead, but get tons of tire kickers or folks who have no clue why they're on the phone. Sure. My name is Clifford. Hey, Clifford, I recently requested an appointment. Yep. How long will it take to start with your company? I mean, you should be able to start onboarding immediately, start going through the sales and marketing training. Our goal is to have you sales ready in 15 to 20 days. Davis, thanks for hitting my first question. To follow up on that, what would be a higher ROI starting off hitting age direct mail leads on telesales and new Facebook ones? I don't know. It just depends. I can't answer the ROI question because it varies between agent. I think that if you're going to do telesales with age leads, it's in the sense it's like Facebook leads. You got to buy a lot of them. If you buy 20 age leads that are a year plus old, a lot of them are going to be disconnected, and you're already working against the fact that they don't remember sending it in or they already bought it. So you got to make up for it in volume. But I think the deals are there if you've got enough leads in a similar fashion to Facebook leads. Passion. We're rounding down finally. Okay, so if you got any last questions, now time's to ask. Passion bandana. David, what do you find is a great strategy successfully building a strong foundation starting off selling insurance? What to avoid, what not to avoid? Let's see. Understanding that this business is ultimately about seeing the people or talking to the people. It's about being in front of people or on the phone with people. Okay? It's not being obsessive about the fact that you don't know everything when you start. So you got to be comfortable being uncomfortable. Okay? And ultimately, this is a hard work business. It's not a genius, a Mensa IQ business. It's about working hard to get in front of people and battling the demons in your head that tell you otherwise. So if you can combine that with good training, support, a good lead system, and if you can execute that daily, forever, sky's the limit. Dave is a slimy guy. Thank you. On Facebook, then what would telesales direct mail closing? So I don't recommend direct mail for Facebook or direct mail for, am I reading that right? On Facebook, then what would be telesales direct mail closing? Yeah. If you're selling over the phone, I wouldn't do direct mail because it's just too high of an acquisition cost. I want to start ASAP. I'm experienced when I can get started. davidduford.com/contact. I'll send you the next steps. Sorry about the confusion, but yeah. We're independent? Yep, that's right. Micah, I'm waiting for a call appointment with you. Clifford Simmons, when should I expect a call? Just message me like I said, and then I'll send you the link. I think I sent you one. I don't remember though. I remember emailing you. Just don't remember specifics. Jody, Micah, did you set up a Zoom appointment with a startup position on the website? Yeah, there's some processes there. Just message me and I'll send it to you. Last question here, then I'm going to call it a day. Mark, if you order mail leads and they take 3 to 4 weeks, is there another lead? Yeah, Facebook leads, age leads, definitely if you want to do that to kind of get going faster. Blake, question, working for a BGA with high commissions but looking for feedback on their lead pricing. Pre-qualified callbacks are $13. Live transfers, Blake, probably from telemarketing, are 27. TV call-ins are 60. Sounds fair to me. Not bad at all. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being here. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you'd like to learn more about joining Duford Insurance Group, go to my website, davidduford.com. Click the FAQ button at the top of the page and then scroll through, and you'll learn all about what I'm looking for in an agent, who's a good fit, who isn't a good fit, and what steps you have to take to proceed. Thank you so much for being here again. A special thanks to all you audience members out there who are watching live and those of you watching on recording. I really appreciate you guys being here. It's a pleasure to have you, and I hope you got something valuable out of this training. And we shall see you next month, end of the month, probably around Thanksgiving, on another live Q&A. Until then, if I could do anything for you, check out the FAQ or go to the contact page, davidduford.com/contact. Send me a message. I read them all and answer them all, okay? All right, guys, y'all take care. See you later. Bye.